So Mark Rainey says he'll be here shortly. You guys can talk about Godzilla. We'll be seeing him. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
Wait, check the volume. I can hear you.
That this heart of Matt's embraces all day through. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
No.
Well, I'm clicking off then. Jesus.
Welcome to the Lovecraft Easing podcast, where, yes, we talk about cosmic horror, weird fiction, ghosts, goblins, vampires, werewolves. Oh my!
And Santa.
And Santa.
Non-Euclidean monsters from beyond the edge of space.
So if you want to watch,
yes, I saw that. I saw that episode last night too. Thank you. I have thoughts about Doctor Who. As do you, don't you? You do.
I watched it this morning.
I really do.
I really do.
All right, Matt, what were you saying?
Okay, so as you well know, there is one true Christmas movie that is Lovecraftian, and it happens to be Finnish. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is this that film I still haven't seen? Troll or something?
No, it's not Troll.
What is it?
Is it Rare Exports?
Rare
Exports.
Okay. Well,
so if you want to watch an actual Lovecraftian Christmas movie that actually will warm the cockles of your heart
and terrify you at the same time.
Alan Hughes, are you listening? This should be on our movies page list, I guess.
Rare Exports.
Alan Hughes is helping me with the Lovecraft Easing website games page, since he's an expert, and the movies page. Because he's a nice guy.
Because you like Alan more than you like me.
I don't want you doing it. It has no question of like. It's just, it would end up looking like a web page from the 90s.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, AOL.
Yeah, an AOL. Content.
You're talking like that's wrong.
It's not wrong. It's just dated. Well, one of our patrons called this a painter that lives in John Coyne in Alaska. He sent me one of his paintings. Very nice guy. And he called this a comfort food podcast. So I really appreciate that, John, as well as the paintings. Oh, look who's in the waiting room.
It means probably like he thinks you like a bag of mashed potatoes or something.
I think he compared us to potatoes or something. I can't remember. But
so that means that everybody's going to consume us and everybody's going to enjoy it, but nobody's going to comment or nominate us for any awards. That's fine.
Okay. I'm not real big on awards.
No, neither am I.
It's Mark Rainey.
Howdy, gentlemen and ladies.
How are you?
I'm hot and sweaty. I just got out of the kitchen. I'm in Michigan at my in-laws, and I made a big chicken piccata dinner for everybody. And now I've been over a hot stove.
Well, DeBronzo here about 10 minutes before we went on air, he goes, "Wow, should have thought of this earlier." But Mark, we're going to talk about Godzilla -1, and Mark really likes that movie. And I was like, well, let's see if we can get him.
Well, here I be, and sorry, but I'm here, and there's nothing. Well, I guess there is something you could do about it, but just stop.
Hey, you look good. All right, so we've got. Do we need to do an introduction? We've got Matthew Carpenter. You want to introduce yourself?
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, we do have a prize this week. It is a copy of an anthology called City of the Ice, edited by David Blaylock. It's from Alban Lake Publishing. It's a nice anthology, paperback cover. If you want to win a copy, you want to enter to try to win a copy, send an email to easyandprizes@gmail.com and put city in the subject heading. We will be drawing what, Pete?
Well, no, when you're done.
You don't have to raise your hand.
Winner in about 6 or 8 weeks, so maybe you could be getting a belated Cthulhu present.
Wait, I have to say something before Pete goes. I got a comment from somebody saying, why are you guys, I think probably it was their first episode, I don't know, but you guys give each other so much shit. let me clarify. I love these people. I hope it's reciprocated. Probably
No,
not.
I do it because I'm vindictive.
But yes,
love
it
you.
is in fun.
I love you, Mike, but not the way you think.
Yes,
Ball busting is the sincerest form of endearment.
that's right. So what do you have for us, Pete? Some
All right,
gem of
so-
wisdom from your advanced years.
20 years ago, I discovered Matt Carpenter's Cthulhu Mythos lists
Oh yes,
on Amazon.
very valuable.
They were very valuable.
They were. I'm not being sarcastic.
And I would really appreciate it if you would bring those back on the easy.
Yeah, you could send them to me and I'll put them on. I'll blog it
Just
That would be awesome.
and
I
perhaps
love
if you
give
could
you
just
credit
do
as well.
like we could have a running list of Cthulhu Mythos books.
Well, actually, Pete, I sort of still have it. If you go into the photo albums on my page,
Yes.
I've got 3. I'm thinking about doing it one more time in 24. And it does cover most of what you want.
I have linked to that in the on the big easing page. when you've
Because
done those.
I got to tell you, I do myself. I do a pretty good job of hunting this stuff down, but for some reason that book has slipped through my grasp. I've never seen it.
If you want, I can send it to you and use a different book for the prize.
No. I will. I've already ordered it.
Oh,
It's just,
jeez, that was fast.
well, yeah, because you posted on our chat earlier
Oh.
today. So what I'm saying
This
is
is what it's like to have money, huh?
no.
Oh my gosh.
I need that secret.
Uncle Pete.
Uncle
Oh
Pete,
man,
yeah.
Mark's so stressed. He's here. He's drinking.
But what I'm saying
Well,
is
we had
that
to have wine with dinner, Italian.
Of course.
there's a huge value to what you're doing, Matt.
Yeah.
And
There really is.
whether we organize it by publisher or author or editor or year, I think that there's a value to having that data available to people. Because like the Cthulhu Mythos, the Reader's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos is 30 years out of date.
Right.
Yeah, because here's the thing, Pete. I just mentioned the Lovecraftian games page on the site, the Lovecraftian
Yeah.
movies page. Those kinds of things are relatively easy to keep up with and post the best ones that we think are the best. But books, I had lists. I had a list, and I cannot keep up with it, man. So yeah, Matt's list is very valuable, and hopefully he'll maybe give me some sort of best of list, and I could blog it on the website.
And I think there are 4 At the Mountains of Madness anthologies, and I'm in 2 of them, but I don't even know about this one.
The thing, Pete, though, I'm winding down, believe it or not.
I don't care.
I believe it.
You don't have to listen. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to review it. Just put it on the list.
Well, I will think on it, because it's just taking them out of those photo albums I have now and turning them into a list. That's trying to do them in some kind of semblance of.
You know what?
Or
we could look at it as
publication.
sort of a Matthew Carpenter Facebook version of Letterbox DVD. If you want to just send me the links to the photo albums in an email, I will blog those, and then people can click on that by year or whatever and just go through the list. How's that
We'll see
sound?
if that works. And then
It'll work.
maybe then, but like I said, I'm thinking about doing it again for 24. I think I've got another 300 books to list. Maybe.
Jesus.
Yeah. But after that, then I might be able to do what you say.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm giving you bonus points, credit where credit is due. You did a great service. And
long before I knew Matthew Carpenter, I was looking at that list to find my next, Lovecraftian book to read.
Yeah.
Let's do
Me too.
introductions real quick so everybody knows, if they're new, who's who. My name is Erwin N. Fletcher. Bronzo, you want to go?
Sure. I'm Mike DeBronzo, architect and artist. And a quick PSA, if you are in the Phoenixville area of Pennsylvania, the Colonial Theater is showing.
Oh, is it time?
It's
It is
35
time.
millimeter 35 millimeter print of The Thing on December 28th.
Oh,
So-
No
man.
kidding.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and make that one. I saw it the first time they did it. Would like to see it again.
That's funny
Yeah,
that you
that
mentioned,
sounds
because I
great.
had a dream the other night that I finally, at long last, got to watch Superman 78 on the big screen. I
the
never
big
got to
screen.
do that. And I woke
saw-
up and I was sad that I woke up.
I actually saw that on the big screen.
Did you?
When it
In
came
the
out.
first run.
You'll believe that a
Yeah.
man can fly. And
Oh,
this
you're
was
talking about
this was in
Superman.
78.
I thought Matt was talking about the Blob.
I saw Superman on the big screen too.
I think I
Uh,
saw it on the big screen too.
There are a couple local theaters that play older movies once in a while, on certain nights. Yeah, I got to send in a request for Superman 70, although I don't know how costly it might be for them. But anyway, Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget. I
Hi.
do music and art stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
come
music
on. Is
stuff.
that it?
That's it.
Come
He
on.
does music stuff too.
Toot your
I
horn a
said
little
music
bit.
and art stuff. Do you all even listen to me? No, you
Yeah,
don't.
I'm sorry, I don't
I
think
listen to you.
I
You're
listen
on
to your
I
haunted
do.
horror stuff. Oh, cut me to the quick.
Bridget, I've been married full
No,
time.
I said just now. You should even hear me say that. I said music and art before you're already correcting me.
I've been
Whoa,
married
whoa, whoa.
5
I have
times.
never corrected you. Let me just, before I get any hate mail about mansplaining, I
I just I
Didn't you
wanted to-
just now, maybe?
I wanted to
Wasn't
boost
me.
your signal. That's all I wanted.
Matt
to
did,
clicks and
but that's because
Matt-
he's old.
Matt was trying to flatter me, which is awesome. Love you, Matt.
just you need more recognition. I think you're too modest.
Actually,
Aw.
Bridget and I are going to talk about something briefly later on that she gets a hell of a lot of recognition for.
And I know I'm too modest. Gee,
Yeah,
Aw.
that's your problem.
I'm
Hey,
just
we
trying to keep. I'm just trying to keep my intros like everyone else, short and sweet.
we have Stephen Mark Rainey with us. Mark, would you like to introduce
Yay.
yourself?
Well, hi. Stephen Mark Rainey, go by Mark mostly. Longtime Lovecraftian writer, mostly short fiction, editor of magazine anthologies, the latest being Death Realm Spirits, which has just come out this past month, and a longtime diehard Godzilla fan, like from probably before I was.
Yeah, folks, I was going to mention this anyway. I'm glad Mark's here though, but yeah, get on Amazon or Google and just search for Death Realm. That's one word, Spirits. And yeah, I will. I haven't gotten to everybody yet. Thank you for the reminder though. And buy that book. So, and who do we got next? Rick.
Rick Lay, writer and Pulp magazine collector.
All right. So if you're watching on YouTube, one of the best things you can do for us that's free is comment. I'm told that helps the algorithm. And click the like button. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen, you can. I always lately have been on the audio version. I've been including the YouTube links. It's really easy for you to click over and let us know what you thought of the episode, or what we talked about. Like we're going to talk about Godzilla. That's why Mark's here. Besides the fact that I love having Mark here. And we got a new hotline. It always goes straight to voicemail. You don't have to worry that you'll actually have to talk to me and ruin your day.
We like talking to you.
I'm glad you're muted, Pete. I really am.
We like talking at you, Mike.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
I just had this so there was this the show I enjoy called Red Green. By the way, it just dropped on Prime from Canada.
You're showing
And they
your
have
age.
a men's club called the Possum Lodge. And they have a men's club emergency line called the Possum 911. And I'm just thinking that like we need the Lovecraft Easy 911.
Let's call it that. Lovecraft Easy 911 number is 515-650-2540. That's 515-650-2540. And if you act now, you can leave a voicemail.
I
But
can
wait,
get
going with
the
there's
unsigned
more.
painting of the First Supper.
Yeah. But wait, there's more. You could also
Sure.
don't give till it helps, give till it hurts. No, I'm kidding.
Do you get spam calls on that number?
Occasionally.
That's all I get
Not a
anymore.
lot.
Nobody wants to talk to me except spammers.
Well, on my real number on my phone, I've got it. It's always on do not disturb, and then only people I like can get through. It only allows, favorites through. It's an Android. So if a spammer calls me, it just doesn't ring. And anyway, last thing is I really appreciate the Patreons, no kidding. Thank you for keeping the easy train on the tracks, and really appreciate it. So, okay, let's talk. So who wants to talk about Godzilla? Nobody? Anybody?
I will talk about Godzilla. I know Mark will.
Bet you will.
I have not seen it yet, but go ahead. I don't care.
Okay,
I'm
no.
going-
We've got an audience. I don't want to spoil it for them. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people's looking forward to this movie.
We're gonna go
keeping-
see it on Monday. So
I haven't
Yeah, it's-
seen it.
Yeah, I was planning on keeping it spoiler free no matter what.
All right.
Mark, do you want to start off? You want me to start off? Like,
Yeah, I'll go right ahead. Go ahead.
okay. Yesterday got the first showing at the theater I went to, my better half, and saw Godzilla -1. And I was really impressed. Like, I had loved the movie. It's probably possibly the only, not the only movie, the original would be the other exception, where you actually care about the characters. They're fleshed out, they're three-dimensional, they're not just there to look up or overact. You fought like it's balanced between Godzilla and these people, but in a good way. And it's it's not a beat for beat remake of the original. There you go. We have props.
Really Langan should be here too, but he's busy.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mike, go on.
No, that's cool. I messaged him like, you gotta go see it. And it's just like I was really impressed with it. I lost my train of thought. Damn you,
did.
Pete, your stuffed animals. But no, it's just like it's a nice 2-hour movie. I would recommend going to see it. If you're a Godzilla fan, definitely, if you get the chance, see it on a big screen. It's really well done. It was done for a fraction of like what the legendary movies are done for.
Like
But it looks
17
great.
million?
I'm sorry, Rick?
I think the budget was 17 million.
Yeah, and like the legendary movies are like what, $300 million to make?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look
that
very
actually-
pretty.
That's incredible when you think how much money they piss away on a superhero movie these days, or that new Napoleon movie was over $200 million.
Yeah.
And here's what you could do with committed, talented people and a modest budget.
Someone really
Yeah.
needs to pay attention to this because Hollywood has really gone off the rails lately. I love superheroes, but it's too much. Come on, it's too much.
Yeah, no, definitely. What did you think about it, Mark?
Well, the thing I think I most appreciated about it was a sense that, at least for me personally, having grown up with all the Godzilla movies from such a young age, to me, Godzilla was always a dark, grim force. And even as a kid, I'd watch some movie like King Kong versus Godzilla or Ghidorah, the ones that are, they're pretty whimsical. But
Yeah.
to my mind, Godzilla was always meant to be a monstrous, almost demonic force, much like in the original film. And Godzilla -1 has that sense that this is a horrendous, monstrous, demonic thing, which is right in line with my youthful impression of Godzilla, no matter how serious or not serious the movie was. So I think I appreciated that more than anything, is that Godzilla is really a force to be reckoned with. He will recognize individual people and chase people and smash people. And I loved a lot of the visuals that show the monster basically from the bystander's point of view, or like there's a scene and it's not a giveaway because it's in the trailer, but there's all these reporters on the top of the building. And when the building starts to collapse, you're seeing it from their perspective. And it's touches like that really bring the monster attack home. The characters, like you were saying, is they are engaging, and my wife wept a little bit, and I got to admit, I felt emotionally attached to these people in a way I haven't felt about a Godzilla movie since the original.
Yeah, you actually cared what happened to them. They're just not fodder, and it's not like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not a perfect movie by any stretch, but what's so good about it is so good that I was willing to overlook just about any shortcoming that I felt came up with.
I haven't seen it yet, although you guys have convinced me that I do need to see it in the theater for the scale of it. How does it compare to, as far as what you were just saying, Mark, caring about the characters and the sense of this demonic, huge, destructive force? That is the sense that I got from Cloverfield back in the day when I watched it. That sort of feeling. How does it compare to? Is it that same sort of thing, or is it totally different?
He's a predator. I mean, there's just no question he is a vicious predator. When you see him, he's actually scary. And I think one of the things you get when you're in the theater, like Mark said, with the scale, what they did was take Godzilla's had a tendency over his long history where every so once in a while they bump him up in size. The original was like 150 feet tall, and they brought him back down to that scale, which is better, especially for the visuals in this movie where you get to the legendary, he's 500 feet tall. There's a certain point, even with a movie, with all the movie magic, like where scale is with the humans reacting to like a skyscraper, it's kind of hard to get any intimacy out of it. Like Mark said, there's like a scene where you see him from the ground floor, not the ground, but from the ground. You know what I meant? Yeah. And he's actually, he's making his way through where he is. It's not Tokyo yet, and you see him like it's a great scale for that movie theater screen because it's probably pretty close to what it would actually look like. So I mean, and there's certain scenes in that movie, without giving away what they are, where when he interacts with something, it's kind of awe-inspiring to see it because he's not so gigantic. He's with stuff you can associate that scale. You're like, how big that is, and he's just a destructive force. So I mean, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Let me interrupt, and then you guys can go on.
Yeah.
We forgot to have Pete introduce himself. Say something.
Who? Do I really need an introduction? I'm infamous.
All right. That'll do.
All right.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
It's Pete, not pig.
Oh, sorry. Isn't that from Babe?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, guys, go on. I'm sorry. Just wanted to get Pete's intro in there.
He's Pete.
I don't know. I don't know. So
I like that they took.
Yeah, go on. I
just want to say I like that the movie, not a spoiler, but it sets up like it doesn't jump from one point to the next and the next. There's a point in the movie where they set up. This is going back to the actual human characters, where there's a timeline established, and you spend time with them as actual people. And I don't know how much I don't want to spoil anything, but it's nice because besides like they become fleshed out characters, it also emphasizes, in the original Godzilla, you know, you kind of like you're with those characters, but it's not from the point of the person on the street, so to speak. Like normal people, these are like soldiers that have come back from the war. They're the civilians that had to suffer through the bombings and stuff like that. You go from, you see that what it's like to come back to that. So when Godzilla shows up and, you know, some time has passed, it's, you know, it's almost like it's happening over again. So
You know,
it was just nice.
it's one of the it's one of the main rules in writing, isn't it? That if you don't care for the characters,
Yeah.
no matter what,
Then
the
you just have a
stories-
slasher film.
right, they're cardboard cutouts, you know, and you know, it does remind me of something, not having seen the movie. But when you watch Man of Steel and you watch these Superman battle Zod, that battle after all the other Kryptonians are gone, and they're just pummeling each other. And then you watch the beginning of Batman v Superman, you see it from a different perspective. And you see these two godlike beings slamming into everything. And you see it from the perspective of the humans that are trying to get the hell out of the way. And the
And
guy
Bruce
that,
Wayne.
huh?
And Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and Bruce Wayne, obviously most important. But his guy, when he tries to get everybody out of the building, and the guy that got everybody out of the building but didn't get out fast enough, and Zod slammed Superman into the building, you know, all the guy could do is mutter a prayer and he dies. It makes the whole thing more real.
In -1, there are a lot of elements, both visual and auditory, especially, that just enhance the scenes. The one thing that frequently bugs me about the legendary stuff is that all of the monster effects, everything looks like it is these elaborate, beautiful paintings come to life. It's almost like it's a cartoon in its way, whereas -1 looks more like real life. I mean, obviously, there's plenty of scenes where the CGI says, "Hey, I'm CGI."
Yeah.
But it's not as distracting as the look of so much of the legendary stuff. And I'm not really denigrating that. I mean, it's oftentimes quite beautiful. It just doesn't immerse me as a branch of reality. That sort of puts a wall between me and what's happening on the screen. And also the soundtrack in -1. You know, of course, it's got a lot of the Ifukube cues from the older movies, and they do it very well. They orchestrated them exceptionally well. But the original score is largely, I wouldn't say subliminal, but it runs as a subtle undercurrent with a lot of rising and falling. It's almost ambient at a lot of times. And it, like I said, it touches these nerves. There's a couple of nerves right about there, and it touches that, and it makes me feel like I'm hearing the approach of Godzilla, or even though there's not one sound of Godzilla at the time, the way that music starts to build and tickle your nerve back there, it's like, oh God, you know it's coming, and that actually made me sit in the theater and feel wary. And I haven't had a feeling like that in a movie in I don't know how long. I absolutely love that about it.
I'd like to get Bridget's thoughts on that, on soundtracks and this soundtrack, so forth. What you just said.
Well, of course you'd ask me that one. I haven't seen it yet. That's not.
Well, no, but just in general, soundtracks. And as you're a musician, I'm just sort of a musician as a hobby, but I know that sometimes the best soundtracks are the ones that you don't so much notice, but are subliminal in a way.
Yeah, of course. And having those lower sounds that echo vibrations. You know, you were talking about that, Mark. It reminded me of Jurassic Park when they show the vibrations in the water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you have that kind of synced up with the music sounds and the lower vibrations where you're feeling it as much as hearing it, then that's pretty genius.
Yeah. And then in -1, 2, which so many of the earlier movies, the sound, you see Godzilla stomping across the screen, and in the original movie, of course, you had those booming footsteps. Well, they bring us back some booming footsteps, instead of just Godzilla shuffling along the soundstage, and it just sounds like a dude walking. But now you've got truly the sense of depth that these steps cause. In fact, when he's walking through the city in some scenes, it's like the pavement buckles under him, and pieces of asphalt, chunks of it will break up. And even though physically this creature is impossible, you believe it's possible because all of the physical reactions, the adherence to some permutation of laws of physics, they hold true, and it makes you believe, like, yes, this really could be happening here. And again, it's that illusion of reality that I think's been missing from movies in a long time.
One shot that they show, the scene you're talking about when he's making his rampage through the city, they have a shot that shows just his legs, like you're looking up from his perspective, and when they hit the ground, it takes a second for him to, like, he's fighting gravity.
Yeah,
because he's nimble in the water, but on land, it's like gravity works, even though something that size is impossible to exist. So I appreciate that. Like like you said, they gave him a little sense of, reality, like he's there.
Sounds like they make
the
it very
biology
easy.
for a second, though. Okay, so in the era of the dinosaurs, I believe the oxygen level in the atmosphere was a higher percentage than it is today. It's several percent higher. And this is one reason such large bodies could occur, why they'd have insects that were like 3 feet long. And now, because the trouble with getting oxygen out to the distant tissues is more difficult at 21%, well, we can then argue that Godzilla has like this atomic engine in him. Some biological process, and that's how he shoots his deadly breath. Maybe that is why he's not relying on aerobic metabolism. See,
you might have something there.
There are bacteria that live in the deep places of the ocean on vents, and their energy economy is hydrogen based, not aerobic metabolism of hydrocarbon compounds. So we can certainly hypothesize that Godzilla is not necessarily completely dependent upon air breathing, and therefore he could have this massive size.
I recently picked up the novel of Godzilla written by Shigeru Kiyama, the one the original 54 film came from, or it was written in conjunction with. And it doesn't go into hard science or anything like that. But there is an acknowledgement in the scientific community that Godzilla does not conform to any physical, biological laws that they know of, and they only conclude that there is something about Godzilla's body and the nuclear aspect of it that it pretty much says, we have to rethink the laws of physics, the laws of biology, simply because this creature exists. And, you don't have to get into the hard science of it as far as I'm concerned, but I thought that was a nice acknowledgement that this really isn't normal. Yeah. And as much as Godzilla's a normal critter.
I just, to go for, because you mentioned the novel, because I have that sitting upstairs, because it's Godzilla and Godzilla Raids Again.
Right.
How does it read? Is it enjoyable? Is it good? Or?
It is enjoyable. It's very sketchy as far as description goes. You never get a real description of what Godzilla looks like. You kind of have to know. And I don't know how accurate the English translation is, but it's energetic. It reads almost like a mid-grade, right? A book for mid-grade kids, like
okay,
5th to 8th grade, something like that. So it's easy to read and it's quick.
Well, that now you
And
make some
although
very
there are
interesting-
differences from the original Godzilla screenplay or anything like that, there is a lot that is basically word for word and scene for scene.
Well, what's interesting there is then it makes you think the creators at Toho Studios, when it came out with no description in the book, what they came up with was pretty damned amazing in that respect then.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, if you ever read the novelization by Alan Dean Foster, The Alien, they don't describe the alien because I guess he had it before they had finished, Geiger had finished his design. So
I remember
it's kind of
reading
left to
that.
your
I
imagination.
read that when it first came out. I was younger and probably stoned at the time, so I really don't remember much of it. But
Appreciate your honesty.
yeah, the statute of limitations has expired on those things, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Okay, so I'm guessing you guys are recommending this movie. Go see it in
Yes.
the theater, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would, yeah, definitely. If you can, go see it in the theater.
Yeah,
I
no,
got a
we didn't
question.
have it in IMAX or anything where we saw it.
Yeah,
And I
neither
wish
did
I would love to have seen that in IMAX. And like I said, we're in Michigan at the moment, but when I get back home, there is an IMAX theater nearby that is showing it. So
We
I'll
s-
probably get there.
We saw it. Yeah, we saw it was like IMAX too. That it was going to be an IMAX, but around us, we had to travel a little bit. Like our local theaters didn't have it. I mean, it's here, but it's like, so we just watched it on a normal screen, which is fine by me. But I would be interested in seeing an IMAX.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? Since before we get off the topic, can I ask one more question? Since
Absolutely.
Mark, what's your favorite second Godzilla movie? Your
My
original was
second
your
favorite-
favorite. What's your second favorite?
Well, yeah, favorite is obviously the very first one, the Japanese version. The second is probably going to be Godzilla versus the Thing, Mothra versus Godzilla, and that's one of those rare cases where the American version, I think, is somewhat superior to the Japanese, simply because there's a good bit more monster footage in the American version. It's a destroyer, an American destroyer attack on Godzilla, and they decided in Japan they didn't want any help from the Americans, even though the Japanese actually filmed the scenes. They didn't show them in Japan, but they did show them in the U.S. version, and it works very, very well. So yeah, I love that movie.
All right.
But
So
I love all the Showa era movies for what they are. You know, a lot of them are very, very silly, but I don't care. You know, I still love
We watched the Gigan, Godzilla vs. Gigan, and I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. And there's actually speech balloons for Godzilla
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah,
characters. And I'm like, I do not remember that.
that is probably the stupidest of the films, but at the same time, there's so much monster action, man.
Yeah.
You say it's a
Now,
stupid film.
Gigan is one of my favorite creatures, despite the fact and the movie's kind of hard to take, but I love the monster.
Yeah.
You know, come on, you've seen Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
I love
Sure.
this mob.
Hey,
That's actually
so-
pretty high in the favorites list there
well,
because
okay.
it's so unique. It
Mark,
it just goes all out there in weird directions and stuff that I would have never expected for Godzilla, and I admire that in its way.
Mark,
Doesn't always work.
did you watch Doctor Who yesterday? Are you a Doctor Who fan?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I have not seen Doctor Who in quite a long time.
Okay. Well, Bridget, Pete, Rick, anyone? I have thoughts about the latest episode of Doctor Who, The Wild Blue Yonder. Pete, you want to say anything about this?
Yeah. So
Look, we're going to have some minor spoilers here for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So
Okay, I was just gonna ask.
Yeah.
just minor though.
Minor.
there, in watching this, it reminded me of two things. From a Lovecraft direction, it reminds me of Dreams in the Witch House in terms of playing with time, space, distance, proportion. And maybe those aren't consistent across the universe. And the moment you say that, then the other thing that gets invoked is Alice in Wonderland, where, you know, the time and space and proportion are all wrong. And maybe if you're a being of pure whatever, not matter, trying to mimic matter, you can get the look right, but the proportions wrong.
There
And
was some uncanny valley shit going on
Oh
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh man.
yeah, some serious and it's important to the story.
And I paused it about 16 minutes in, and I thought for a minute, and I thought to myself, I love Doctor Who. I love so many episodes of Doctor Who, but this is the first episode. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but you know, it's when it's right about the time that they discover they're at the edge of the universe, and the doctor's looking outside, you know, with Donna, and I thought, this is the first episode I think I've watched where I feel just this creeping dread of what's going to happen, this absolute fear of the unknown, unease
Right.
about the unknown.
I mean, when the doctor is even intimidated by never being that far before.
Right.
Says a lot.
And when the TARDIS runs away for the first time in the history of Doctor Who.
Yeah. There's also this sort of really good use of sound effects in terms of both the ship changing and this thing pounding on the outside of the ship itself. It's like, what is that? What, you know, it's driving everybody insane. What is, you know, and when it's
Kind of
finally
giving me chills there, Pete. Dang, now I
Yeah.
gotta watch.
You really do. The title of the episode is who did we lose? We lost. The title of the DeBronzo.
Wild Blue Yonder.
Yeah, Wild Blue Yonder is the title of the episode. Rick, did you see it? Yep.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I liked it for the development of the relationship between the Doctor and Donna.
Yeah.
That had them alone, and you felt the friendship.
Right.
Of the two.
Right.
There's there's something that, okay, so in Star Trek, there's
Yes.
in
I was
Star
totally
Trek,
gonna go there.
there's this thing what they always do in episodes where they say, oh, we could get if only we could get off the planet, but our transporter doesn't work. So that, you know, that's the thing that keeps you on the planet when things are going wrong. In this case, the TARDIS runs away and he's denied the use of his sonic screwdriver. You know, so it's a very, you know, let's take all the tools away and see what happens kind of thing. And you
Yes.
caught it too, right?
Well,
Bridget?
I was gonna go to Star Trek for a different reason, but yes, I agree
Go
with you.
ahead.
But I was gonna go to The Enemy Within to, you know, trying to figure out who's the real
Yes.
one, and you know, just James T. Kirk being like, the not James T. Kirk being like, I want to live.
There is also a slight bit of Raiders of the Raiders of the Lost Ark Indiana Jones problem here.
Hmm.
And if they hadn't shown up, it wouldn't have made any difference.
Yeah, correct. Because the problem was solved already.
Yes. They're just along there for the ride. They create a bigger problem by being there. But
I think the moral to the story, Pete, is do not hold your cup of coffee over the TARDIS equipment.
Yes.
Or your nuclear
Liquids.
reactor. Or, you know, there's a reason that food and drink are not allowed in laboratories and control rooms.
Yeah.
It is an OSHA violation, and Matt knows this.
And
How-
not on amps either. Please
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I spilled orange juice when I was a kid on my Commodore 64 printer, and I have never had drinks near my equipment again unless there was almost zero possibility that they were going to spill on my stuff.
All right,
Learned
so
my lesson.
one other thing I want to bring up, and I might be reaching here. This is a holiday episode. Yeah, this is a holiday episode. And in some parts of Europe and Celtic origin, there is a tradition about the Mary Luid. Am I pronouncing this correctly?
Mary Lude.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
That
Yeah.
horse thing.
It's a
Yeah.
horse-headed thing that knocks on the door, and you have to fight it off with riddles and song. And the thing outside, when we finally do see it, has a skeletal horse head. And so I'm not sure if that's intentional or I'm just reaching. I'm not familiar enough with the tradition to see if it's been altered to fit here. But it would be fun if they actually did that.
Like an Easter egg.
Yes. Because this is supposed to be a holiday episode.
So is it leading up to, because because usually the Doctor Who Christmas special is just an in and of itself thing, but this is a
Right.
series, right? So
Right.
or are these just prequels to the
The big holiday.
holiday special?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But when this all starts out with the first episode, it's a Christmas market.
Right.
So yeah, it is.
Okay, I was
Christmas
like, did
time.
I miss something? Okay, so I'm not the only one wondering. Cool.
So
Yeah.
who
Have
caught?
any of you been following the controversy over the first episode?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
What
I
controversy?
think they're going crazy about Donna's daughter being a transsexual. They're
Jeez.
saying
Gross.
the woke agenda, Disney has contaminated this,
Oh God.
and guys, just enjoy the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I hadn't even heard that, but as a trans mom, that upsets me
Yeah.
that people would even care about that. Like,
Well, and I'll bet they're going to be almost equally incensed that they meet a certain historical character at the beginning of Wild Blue Yonder, and then when they get out of there, Donna's like, I know he's hot, and the Doctor's like, yeah, he really was hot, wasn't he? Oh, is that who I am now? And then Donna says something funny, but and it's like, it seemed to me that is the way to introduce trans people, gay people, just they're a person, okay? Then that's it, okay? As opposed
it
to
wasn't even a story point. So the
Right.
fact that people are drawing that out as a story point, that's
well, as opposed to Chris Chibnall, is that how you say his name? It was always throwing this stuff in your face, and that's not the way to do it. This is the way to do it. Look, if the Doctor is gay, he's a person.
and please, just acknowledging that another human is beautiful doesn't make you anything.
Exactly. And I can only imagine how angry that would make you, Bridget, to hear that people are,
It makes me more sad than angry, to be honest. Like, I thought it was really, I didn't even pick up on that really. Like, that's the thing. I don't know. But I liked how they mentioned at the end, the Doctor is neither male nor female nor either, or neither, it's just the Doctor is the Doctor. And I thought that was really beautifully put.
And speaking of the Doctor and who he is, did you guys catch the where are you from?
Yeah. They had a timeless child.
Yeah, I loved it. And then Donna's like, not Donna is like, that's not true. You're not from Gallifrey. I loved it.
Like, what? Yeah.
I loved it.
I had forgotten that.
I loved it.
There's they dug up an old episode from John Pertwee's time, where the Doctor and his companion meet
there's DeBronzo coming back.
the Doctor and his companion meet a species that aren't male and female, and the companion's trying to figure out their pronouns, and the Doctor's like, no, they are not he, they are not she, they are this.
Right.
So this sort of has been covered a long time ago.
Well, I said it before, but yeah, I've said it before, so it doesn't need to be said
Do you
again. But I
remember
just
the
thought
name of
it was great. You know,
Pete, do you remember the name of that cereal?
No, but I can find it.
Oh,
I'll look it up.
I mean, hello, not to mention, let's go back to Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Gen, where there's the whole species that Riker meets. You know,
Yes.
there was a whole
Yeah.
episode about this. This is like in the 90s, you know, it's
Right.
just, it's a hot topic right now. So people are acting like it's some new thing, and it's not.
I
But
just don't.
they all need to watch Predestination.
I don't.
Mm,
I'm
That
I'm
will
with Rick.
really screw up everyone's head.
Yeah, really, that's a good movie. I'm with Rick.
that story is crazy.
Just enjoy that. I don't understand, how can you get so angry about a trans, not even main character, side character in a Doctor Who episode? Who cares?
But there's this thing that happens in that first episode where Rose and Donna are talking, and the basic gist of the conversation is, you would never have thought of this because you're male. And that goes back to this whole concept that there are other minds in the universe that think just as well as you do, but differently.
Yeah.
But here they're just playing it out on the male versus female thing. And let's face it, women think about things very, very differently than men do, and they come up with different solutions than men do.
Okay, have you ever done the Myers-Briggs test?
Yes.
Okay, now whether there's any validity to it or not, when I was in my late 20s, I went on a retreat, and we all had to do the Myers-Briggs, and there are basically it sort of separates you into 16 different types of thinking.
Yes.
True or not, you know, of course, these are not really true categories, but the whole point of the exercise is for you to realize that when confronted with the same problem, someone is going to take the same exact pieces of data and not process it the way that you do.
Right.
Which was because I was ISTJ, which is called the closer. You finish the problem, whether the solution's any good or not, who cares? You're on to the next problem.
Right. Lots of engineers are
But what was funny was they grouped you by your personality type, and then they had to say you had to like solve a problem together with all the people of your personality type. And because when we were ISTJ for like the first 5 minutes, no one sat there. We all sat there, no one saying anything. And that always just sort of stuck with me as being kind of funny.
right.
That's interesting. I'm INFJ, so I'm the Obi-Wan of the group, which explains a lot.
I've never taken it, so I don't know.
Basically, INFJ is introverted counselor, essentially, the advisor.
Yeah, Troy.
And mine is to take all these pieces of information, synthesize them. We're done.
That's just what I thought, Pete. She's
Mhm.
Deanna Troy.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is ironically, I never liked her character. So what does that say?
Oh yeah, because you don't
I
like
hate
the
myself.
you never like the people that show you yourself.
Right, in a way. And I think what Matt is saying, you know, it's really poignant because it takes diversity to solve problems.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Go ahead.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
And just going back to what you were saying, P, I don't necessarily disagree that, you know, men and women think differently, and non-binary people think differently, and trans people think differently, and all of those thoughts and feelings have value that add to the equation. But it's when society assigns things to people because of gender or because of, you know, being trans or non-binary that we are missing part of the equation.
That's really well said. That's so, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And the thing, I'll take it one step further because I think this is where you were going, is that no matter which solution some people, whatever person comes up with, as long as it works, as long as it's a solution, it has validity.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
works. And
Yeah, a solution isn't categorized by who came up with it.
right.
I want to say one last thing about Doctor Who, and then let's move on. But I have read, Rick, about the new companion for the new Doctor, and I really think they're going to lean into this timeless child thing for the new Doctor, because the companion is a foundling too, just like the Doctor. She was left on at an orphanage or something as a baby, and they named her after the street she was on, something like that. So it just tells me that they're really going to lean into the timeless child thing. You know, the Doctor really doesn't know who he is or where he comes from, and I think that's an exciting possibility for plot, you know.
Glad that Russell Davis is not abandoning that storyline.
Yeah.
Because too often there was a feeling, you take over and say that was controversial, that didn't work, so we'll just ignore it.
Right.
So-
They were just interviewed Davies, and someone interviewed Davies and Moffat recently, and they were talking about, Davies was talking about how when Moffat would do nods to Davies' era, and he was like, he would text him, he was like, hey, he loved it, and so did the fans,
So what Rick just said about, I really feel like that's what's happening with Tennant and Donna, Tennant's Doctor and Donna, is that they're wrapping up Donna's storyline. And
Mhm.
that storyline has to be wrapped up with David Tennant's Doctor, not with any of the others.
Right.
Right. It's like
great
he had
thing.
that face so that she would remember.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was not the last thing I'm going to say, but this is, I started thinking, what other episodes have this fear of the unknown in Doctor Who? Waters of Mars occurred to me. I started watching that. I'm sorry, Rick, were you going to say something?
What the thing under the bed?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
What's that one? What was that?
The one where
Listen. Yes.
is it when you think there's something under the bed? Is there something under the bed?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, with Capaldi's Doctor, and I don't remember the name of the episode, guys, where it is Tennant, but he's by himself for most of the episode. Donna's just sort of at a retreat, and he goes on this tour bus of sorts.
Yep.
That's there's some cosmic horror there, in my opinion. And then last thing, Waters of Mars, I paused it, Rick, on the newspaper articles that about the astronauts who died and so forth, and then the change where the two who lived, and they flash on the newspaper articles, and the two that survived now talk about an almost mythical doctor that returned them to Earth. But it's just on the screen for like a second. You have to pause it to read part of the article. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know if you'd ever caught that on previous.
I have not caught that.
Yeah. Wow. Caught something Rick didn't.
And since you were talking about scary episodes,
Yes.
Don't Blink.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
Well, there is kind of the they all go to the motorway in the end. I can't remember the name of that episode, but that's one of my favorites. But there is some kind of monster at the bottom that.
Oh, the
and the
driving
dynamic with that, yes.
the driving episode.
Where they're all stuck in traffic for
Right.
eternity, basically, but
Oh,
there's
yeah.
some kind of monster at the bottom.
The
That was the Macra,
Yes, the Macro Terror.
which is from the
yeah.
second Doctor era, actually.
Yeah.
There's also the one where the Impossible. Remember the Impossible Girl? What's her name?
Yeah. That's
Clara.
All right.
Clara.
Her boyfriend dies,
Mhm.
and then he's resurrected in the cyber world that the Master runs. But then they discover that he's going to be cremated and he still feels what's going on in his dead body. So
Super creepy.
yeah, so
It
you know,
is, but my suspension of disbelief went out the window at that. That's just me,
still
though.
super creepy.
It is.
Anyway,
They also did that in the Dracula miniseries.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Matthew, did you want to talk about anything today?
Well, it was a question of we were going to possibly talk about books related to film because a number of us are currently reading Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia.
I haven't read it. Is that a weird film book?
Well, Mike DeBronzo can probably summarize it better than me because he's finished it and I'm only halfway through.
Okay.
Yeah, it's set in the 90s in Mexico, and it's the two main characters. One of them is a sound engineer. The other one's an actor. They've been best friends their entire life. But it's more of a, as you progress through the novel, it's sort of like a cursed film. Literally, they at some point they do something that kind of sets things in motion. I don't want to give any spoilers away. It's incredibly vague, but
I love the way you're frozen on screen right now. By the
I
way,
liked it. It's pretty good, but oh yeah, I'm having internet problems.
You were. It was like this.
It's probably the most flattering image of me too.
It was.
Well, it's
Like
never going to
flickers and
freeze when you want it to. It's going to be awkward.
Yeah, Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia.
So I find this interesting just because I find the author interesting. She wrote a short story called Flash Frame, and you can find it, I think, in the Book of Cthulhu. It dates from about 2010 when she was at the height of her Lovecraftian interest. It was about a journalist who discovered a reference to a strange movie that was reputed to be of an ancient rite. And so the journalist tracks it down and finds out it's actually, I don't remember the exact details. I just remember I really enjoyed it. The journalist ended up burning down the theater to destroy the print. And I'm thinking
Spoilers.
that might be, well, it's this movie, the story's from 2010.
What's the name of
The
the
reason I'm mentioning it is because they mention that a movie theater burnt down in this book. And I've got to correlate it with the story. I think she's referring back to her own story. Okay.
What's the name of the short story?
Flash Frame.
Flash Frame. Okay.
It was a silver nitrate print, ancient silent print that some rich guy had filmed during a ritual. And this is why I think she refers back to, like, she's self-referential. It's not as part of the story, but as a reference that there was a huge fire at this cinema and no one knew what caused it.
Sure.
When you finish the novel,
Easter egg.
Matt, there's an afterwards by her, and she talks about that story. That's where she got the idea for the book. But
okay, well,
things have been changed.
If you don't know Silvia Moreno Garcia, she's of Mexican descent, but she's Canadian. And she was one of those people 15 years ago or more. She got interested in the Lovecraftian community, but like a lot of people at that time, she was very disappointed in that he was racist, and therefore, because she was a woman and she was Mexican, that he would have had nothing to do with her. So she expressed her interest through Innsmouth Free Press, which published free online fiction and had a few print copies. And then she turned to book publishing, and she's published, I think, at least 7 different books. This is going back a ways now, with Lovecraftian themes. For example, and what she wanted to do was feature stories about people Lovecraft wouldn't have written about in eras he wouldn't have been interested in. So here's Jazz Age Cthulhu. It's a paperback. It's not, there's a story by Oren Gray in here. Okay. Swords and Mythos. There's now a mini genre of Well, you could always argue about that. Robert E. Howard referred to Lovecraft, monstrous things, but this was again emphasizing other cultures of sword and sorcery related to Cthulhu. She went out into space with future Lovecraft.
I'm in that one.
That's why I took it off the screen so fast. Okay, so one thing that she did, this isn't really Lovecraftian, but this is a rather unique book. She spent a long time compiling references to fungus in science fiction and movies, and this really lovely hardcover collection. I think you'd still get a lot of these are no longer in print, but this is still in print.
How do you pronounce that title?
The
Fun guy, like fun guys?
Fungi, yeah. So
Thought it
there's
was
two
fungi.
books. I couldn't track them down. She had a historical Lovecraft, which I think who was it? Got the guy's name. There was recently a PSA Publishing. Yep, I cannot argue. There was a PSA. I'm sorry. I'm getting everything mixed up. What's the
We're used to it.
PS Publishing? It's in England. Nikki Crowder. Daryl Schweitzer wrote a very similar anthology, but this was first historical Lovecraft. She did a collection of Nick Mamatas called the Necronomicon, but I guess her crown jewel was She Walks in Shadows. This was funded through an Indiegogo campaign, so I got a really nice hardcover out of it about mythos stories written by women authors. Now, there are a lot of such collections now, like Cassilda's Song, but this, I think, was the very first. It was strictly women authors writing in the mythos. You can still get a copy of this. But ultimately, I think she became disenchanted, or let's be honest, she wasn't making any money. All this work, and I think she barely made a dime, and she was not focusing on her own writing by doing publishing. So she switched over to writing fiction solely. And that's where you end up with Silver Nitrate.
And she's very successful.
Her interest in doing her own work, her own writing, rather than taking all of her time to present the work of other people and then not getting that much out of it.
Yeah, and more power to her. I'm glad that she's finding that success. Cassilda's Song, I just looked this up because Pulver would want me to, Joe would want me to. Cassilda's Song was published on February the 28th, 2015. She Walks in Shadows was published on October 13, 2015. So Joe's was out earlier that year.
Yeah, the thing is, I think hers
They're both great books.
Yeah, it was, I think, probably compiled first, or the idea for it came out first, and then they had to raise the funding to do it. And this is actually Cthulhu's Daughters. For whatever reason, when they went out, it came out in paperback, they changed the name of it as well as the cover. I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Tell you that, but I don't want to talk about it on camera.
All right, moving on.
So what someone here read Mexican Gothic?
I believe that was Melissa.
Oh, okay. That was the book before Silver Nitrate. She put out a story called Mexican Gothic. I haven't read it because it was not in my little interest zone.
Well, back on Silver Nitrate for a second, I just want to say on that topic, I still intend to create a blog post on the Lovecraft Easing website with a list of books about strange films. Obviously, this sounds like this book. I haven't read it yet. Will go on the list, but yeah, anything you guys can email over to me would be appreciated.
Okay, I haven't read it. I haven't finished it, but I gotta say it's an easy read. It is, there are a few Spanish words where I'm looking them up, like what the hell does she mean there? But it's like the characters are good, the dialogue is good. It's a very comfortable read. It's sort of like some things you have to struggle with. But this is sort of a pleasure to sit down and just read a couple of chapters.
Well, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. May you live 1,000 lifetimes and feast
I
upon the
do
fruits of
every day.
paradise.
I do every day.
I
Just
was
call, just call me Walter Mitty.
Okay, Rick?
I was just going to say that Ramsey Campbell did a few novels about strange films, Ancient Images.
Yes.
Which has the lost Karloff Lugosi film, and The Grin of the Dark, which is about a silent movie comedian.
Well, when I compile this list, before I publish it, I'll send it to you guys and you can let me know if I'm missing anything. And by the way, to the audience, please, by all means, comment in the YouTube comments and tell us what films you think belong on this list. You know, we want to hear from you. Maybe there's something that we haven't thought of.
Films
So,
or movies?
I'm sorry,
Films
books.
or books?
Books about film, strange films. Yeah.
Mark,
so-
you got a story, Devil's Eye. It's about the making of a film that doesn't go well.
Yeah, that was the sequel to my novelette Fugue Devil. That was that was way back in like early '90, and that's actually kind of the events in Devil's Eye that involved the filming are based largely on some real experience as far as like the setting. You know, the studio is like in some train cars that are, you know, like outside of this town, which are based on these train cars in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, that have been, you know, used for that very same purpose. And you know, I shouldn't go too far into it, but the whole premise of the Fugue Devil thing is that if you see it, or if you know about it, it knows about you, and if you see it, you're going to have trouble. And so this filmmaker gets the idea, you know, well, if I film this thing, a lot of people are going to see it. So it goes from there. But yeah, I appreciate you actually thinking about it.
Rick, that Doctor Who episode with Capaldi and Clara, where about the sleeping, where they show it to everybody.
Yeah.
Really
Oh yeah.
can't think of that title. I'm sorry.
It's Sand is something in the title.
Yeah. I can't remember. Okay. Look, a few books I just want to shout out about. We're gonna have Ellen and some of the authors in this book on, I think, next week. Ellen Datlow, sorry. We're going to talk about an anthology. I sent the art to you guys. Mark, let me know if you want it. Christmas and Other Horrors, an anthology of solstice horror. Ellen's got a really great introduction in there, you know, about how, you know, this can be a scary time of year. It's not just, I'm going to rephrase it badly, so I'm not going to rephrase it at all. But we're going to talk about the book. I'm in the middle of reading it. I love it. It's an anthology. Stephen Graham Jones, Josh Mallerman, Karen Warren, Nadia Bulkin, and others. Jeffrey Ford, I love Jeff. Cassandra Caw, John Langan. They're just some of the authors in this book. So I wanted to mention that, but of course they'll be on next week. Occult Detective Mythos Special #1. That is on Kindle Unlimited, and it's it's got William Meikle, Pete Rollick, whoever that is, Nick Mamatas, Bob Freeman, Will Murray, and others. Dave Brzezinski is the editor. So I wanted to mention that. A Darkness Visible, Explorations of Horror in the Postmodern. I've not yet tackled this review copy I was sent yet, but it looks really, really interesting. What is postmodernism, and what does it tell us about the things we fear? A Darkness Visible explores this and other compelling questions, drawing together some of today's leading voices in horror fiction. This anthology contains 17 stories that take us from the streets of the modern metropolis to the digital wastelands at the edge of the internet. So I'm, you know, I'm looking forward to reading this. Gemma Files is in it. Let's see who else. Brian Evanson. You can't mess with Brian Evanson and others. And let's see here, just a couple of others. But hopefully you guys are writing this down, speaking to the audience, because I'm sure you're going to enjoy reading them. Eternal Freeze by Jacob Parr is a cosmic horror book, and it's on Kindle Unlimited. So if you're a Kindle Unlimited person, it's not going to cost you anything. And then we had Tom Lucas on a couple of weeks ago. He's the author of the really fun book, Research Randy and the Mystery of Grandma's Half-Eaten Pie of Despair. And it's only $3.95 on Kindle. And if you're roughly my age and you read books like Encyclopedia Brown and so forth when you were, you know, a little kid, this is in that vein, but with cosmic horror. It's a very fun book. So I just wanted to mention those, and especially Tom. I don't have a lot of money, and then when I get a sponsor, I still make sure that I don't let anyone sponsor me or promote a product, book, whatever, that I don't believe in. And I've read this book and it's really fun. So, and Tom Lucas is one of the people helping to keep the e-zine running. So check the book out. Let him know that he spent his money wisely on us. So anyway, there we go. What else you guys want to talk about? I've got some other. Oh, I wanted to ask Mark if you got the Audible. We were talked a couple of weeks ago about the Keep. Did you get the Audible version yet?
I did, and I just started listening to it a couple of days ago. I'm a couple of chapters in right now.
It just came out on Audible like within the last year.
I saw that. Yeah, but when you mentioned that, I thought I really got to check that out. And of course, I read the book so many years ago.
Yeah,
about the time the movie came out. So that was what, early '80s, mid '80s.
Yeah,
and I haven't read it since. So my memory is actually kind of hazy of it, and I'm really loving getting back into it all.
It's such a fine horror novel. Really,
yes.
Really, really is. And the horror is not just this unknown evil force in the Keep. The horror is also maybe even more horrible because it's humans, the Nazis, you know, and what they are doing to the world and what they are doing to, you know, people who are other than them, you know.
And as a World War II nut, that book is always, the whole premise is always appealed to me. So it's mixing my appreciation for the history along with my appreciation for horror. And to me, it's just the best of all worlds. And it's such a great book.
I often wonder how often people I think about it a lot, how lucky we are to be living in the time that we're living in, with all its problems, sure, instead of, say, being a Jew in Germany in the 30s and early 40s, or living in that time, being an American kid who goes over and dies for this cause instead of living, you know, in the area that we are in. I think that it would, you know, these people gave everything to make sure that the outright forces of evil, the Nazis, didn't prevail. And I think a lot of us, we would have done the same, but how lucky we are that we don't have to, you know.
My fear is that we are returning to the 1930s.
Yeah, I hope not. I guess we'll see. But yeah, anyway, speaking of first world problems, I'd like to bring things down a little bit. I was looking forward to taking my wife's sister spent a week with us at Thanksgiving. I was looking forward to taking these two women and chauffeuring them to Black Friday in the middle of the night, like I've done before with them drinking beers in the car and breaking the open container laws. But it was not to be. There's no more Black Friday in the middle of the night. At least not around here. Yeah, and this is good for the employees. Don't get me wrong. I'm being facetious, but it was like, oh man, I really loved watching them plow through all these stores and get in trouble.
My son is now a night manager for a Target. And they are all thrilled with the fact that this is being done away with.
Yeah, it is a good thing. I'm being funny about the experience, but it is a good thing. You know, and you can get anything you want on the internet almost. So why do we need to go somewhere in the middle of the night? And why do these people have to work in the middle of the night? You're right.
I want to.
Yes.
All right. So, Matt, do you remember the Starry Wisdom auction book?
Yes, it was Ned Peterson.
Nate Peterson
edited it. It was from PS Publishing. It is one of the most brilliant little books in all of Cthulhu Mythos history. I love my copy. I've got about 10 or 12 signatures in it. And the promised sequel, the Dagon Collection, has never come out.
I have this month reviewed the page proofs. And on Friday was sent the draft cover.
Are you allowed to share it?
Nice.
No.
Can you share the publisher?
So the publisher says the copyright page, I believe, says PS Publishing November 2023.
That'd be fantastic.
This is
I gotta
December.
tell you, in fact, I have a copy. Okay. Back when I was on alt.horror Cthulhu, I ended up being a sometime email correspondent with this guy. He wants to remain anonymous. I wish he'd let me mention his name. He has actually, Pete, I think, read more mythos than you or I, except he does not keep any books.
You've talked about this guy, yeah.
He sends me his books when he gets up. Now he's going mostly electronic, but just a few weeks ago, he sent me another huge box of books that he had read them and said, keep them or distribute them.
I'll bet Isabel loved the hell out of that.
There is a copy of the Starry Wisdom Library, a hardback copy, an extra copy.
Well, that's not on Kindle, is it?
PS Publishing doesn't do much Kindle.
Yeah.
They may be starting. Occasionally they'll put out a paperback. A lot of times it's a hardcover copy and they're done. They sell out their stock. Boom, next thing. But it's like, so we got to think of something special to do with this hardcover copy that I just acquired.
I can put it on my bookcase.
Other than sending it to DeBronzo,
let's give it to a Patreon.
Okay, but you can still buy that from Amazon.
Oh, it hasn't been sold out yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's that
and
much.
Or is it?
There's an Audible format.
Oh, okay.
Are you kidding me?
No,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I just looked at it.
So those of you, I don't have a cover to show, but those of you who don't know this book, it was like, this is the idea that when there used to be in the olden days an auction, a prestigious company would send out a catalog, a print catalog, to potential customers who are wealthy patrons, libraries, museums, so they could know it was being sold, and then they might even write in a bid, or they could then attend the auction. So this is the catalog for the Starry Wisdom cult was being liquidated, or the Esoteric Dagon cult was
it's a Starry Wisdom.
And they were going to sell their whole library, and so every single mythos tome that you could think of was represented in here. The provenance of the Necronomicon, for example, was Lovecraft's History of the Necronomicon. But they had the Holtsteguls, anything that you can name of. Think a name of a book, the 7 Cryptical Tablets of Hassan. They had a description of it, what was its provenance and its history, and what the contents were. So it's not like a novel that you read, but it's just something you dip into. it's just so fun, and
Yeah.
they of course didn't ask me to write anything, because I would have come up with like the 7 cryptical cookbooks of Hassan's brother Phil, and that might not have gone over as well.
The new book is, I believe the tentative title is the Dagon Collection. And it is items acquired from Innsmouth after the raid.
Ooh.
Okay, now did you ever read the what was it? There was a story by damn, it's just that her name's just not coming to me. The poet who also writes mythos fiction.
Anne Schwader?
Yeah, she wrote a story about someone who had done wrong to a woman from Innsmouth, and they captured him, and she had a gutting knife, which was modeled after the teeniest tip of the teeniest claw of Mother Hydra.
Been
And I
done
was
wrong.
really-
Did they create a country music song about this too?
Well, what I was really hoping was that this
These
night
bins are
was
made for
less.
walking. Like,
That's just what they'll do.
I just
These
I
days,
wish
these books are gonna
they
walk
probably
all
didn't,
over
but
you.
I wished they would have included that little item, because it was such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Down.
I can, yes. I remember the story. But I think that doesn't work as a catalog item. But
No,
yes.
it was the Objects from the Gilman Waite collection was the title of the story.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's I have I have my page proofs.
That's fantastic. This is such
Yeah.
good news.
Yeah.
It is.
So it'll be out.
Let's get him on the podcast soon.
Patterson? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some of the writers. It's up to you, him and you.
I'll mention it to him. I'll drop him your email.
Well, then I have to work.
Interact?
Can't you do anything? Yeah, exactly.
I don't have your schedule.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not your secretary.
You're not?
No.
George
Well, this
R.
is the
Martin
first
not
time
your bitch.
George R. Martin's not your bitch. I love it. Yes.
Have you seen all right, so there was someone at Disney made a comment that perhaps there should have been more executive oversight at the Marvels movie.
Or the whole franchise?
No, just the Marvels, the film. And Neil Gaiman wrote a comment, and I'm going to paraphrase this. He says,
yes, it's awesome.
As a personal witness to the last 12 years of Disney trying to develop the Graveyard Book, I can assure you that Disney executive involvement has never been lacking.
It's awesome.
It's just a complete failure of Disney executive production to move anything forward.
Wouldn't it be nice to get that huge salary and really
not do
much?
anything?
Yeah.
Well, and I've talked with Phil, Phil Fricazzi and his wife are both in filmmaking.
Yeah.
And we all know a bunch of editors and whatnot. And it seems to me that a lot of people just aren't held accountable for crap that they make or crap decisions that they make. Like, imagine being the 12 executive editors that passed on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Were you held accountable, held accountable for that?
Did you get fired when Harry Potter took off? Yeah. You should have been.
Look, I hate the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe. It's awful. It completely undermines everything that Star Trek is about. But we're just going to throw money at it because it makes cash.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, Pete, that the best you're ever going to come up with for that kind of public accounting is Michael Myers playing the guy who rejected Bohemian Rhapsody
Yes.
Queen.
Right. Yeah. You're making, yes, there's very little, whatever, accountability at that level. So,
Did I mention this on a previous podcast that
Yes.
Cycle of the Werewolf, Stephen King's?
yes, you did.
Mhm.
Okay, the Audible version. I mean, not Audible.
Yeah.
It is not Audible. It's on some guy on YouTube. Read Cycle of the Werewolf with sound effects, and it's a great listen. Just look it up on YouTube. So if I didn't mention that, if I did mention that, then okay, I mentioned it twice now. All right, so
The
I
other
got
thing
s-
that
yes, go on.
Rick and I should mention is that Rick and I have stories out in Tales of the Shadowman Volume 20, which is going to be the last Tales of the Shadowman.
Although mine is incomplete.
Oh, well, I haven't read it yet.
It's because I couldn't make the deadline.
Oh no.
So we thought, well, I'm working on getting a completed version out eventually.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Tales of the
yeah,
Shadowman.
Tales of the Shadow, number 20. I've glanced at there's at least there's my story and there's another story that are definitely linked to the Cthulhu mythos. I haven't read I haven't read all the stories in there yet, so I can't tell you definitively how many mythos stories are in there.
Okay, so Bridget and I have news. I'm creating a second podcast. Now, this podcast will be a fiction podcast, and it's Bridget came up with this title. I love it, The Weird Library, and I came up with the subtitle, Listen in the Dark. And it's going to be various narrators narrating, obviously, weird fiction and other kinds of horror that I really enjoy. And I'll do an intro, a voice intro and an outro, much kind of in the vein of E.G. Marshall with the CBS Radio Mystery Theater. And Bridget has created a really nice logo. Let's see, is this the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the intro and outro music for the series.
Can you
So
show it?
yeah, I'm looking it up right now. I should have been ready. Let's see. When did you send it to me in Messenger?
The current logo is
Yeah.
on Google Drive.
Oh, it's on Google Drive.
You want me to pull
Oh
it up?
no, I found it. I think I found the. Yeah, here it is. Hang on, give me a second. Yeah, we'll talk about the music while I look for this. No, I found it. Yeah, go ahead.
You got it. There you go. No, the music is just I was going for like a dark academia, spooky, weird vibe. So
What do you guys think of that that logo on screen?
Cool.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Is this going to be like do you ever listen on YouTube to Horror Babble?
Yeah.
That's the idea, your vibe you're going for?
Yeah, more or less. It's going to be, yeah, more or less, because it's going to be stories that I've really enjoyed. And
yeah, stories curated by Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
Just I was trying to create with the library vibe in the logo as well as the titles. Just, not just any old stories, but stories that Mike likes.
And we've got some actually pretty big name authors that are going to have stories on this, so it's going to be real fun. I don't know the schedule, but I would say probably a couple of episodes a month and possibly more. And it's going to be on YouTube, and it's also just like this podcast. It'll be on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts as well. So I hope that everyone enjoys this. I think they will. So hope you guys do too. All right, we got anything else to talk about? Oh, I Sean Hamill and I hung out yesterday, went to lunch. That was a lot of fun. Sean Hamill's the
that's
guy who
cool.
wrote Cosmology of Monsters.
Oh,
Yeah.
does he live in Texas?
He until I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, or something like that. He lived in Alabama, but he's from this area, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and moved back. So yeah. So he's about 45 minutes away from me. So that was
He
really nice.
came from Alabama. Did he have a banjo on his knee?
I don't think he didn't bring it to lunch yesterday,
Oh.
but it's possible.
Sure. I thought that everyone from Alabama traveled, and never mind.
Yeah, if you haven't read A Cosmology of Monsters, speaking to the audience, it's a really great book. And it's cosmic horror. Stephen King read it and really liked it. And I forget his blurb on it, but something about if John, it felt like John Irving could have written this book, you know, kind of something like that. I'm paraphrasing. So I'll have all these links in the show notes. Anything else we need to talk about? I got this in the mail. The Aching Plain by Cody Lakin coming up. He wrote The Family Condition, which really good book. This is his second book. And then did everybody get their number 2 of The Secret Language of Spiders by
I haven't yet.
K.L. Young, whoever that is?
I got the first 2.
Mine has a 1 in it.
Screw you.
Ah, smells like it's first.
DeBronzo's the golden boy.
Yeah, how come Kelly likes you better than me? Let's see, where am I at? Oh, this is
I keep the checks coming.
this is number 30 of 33. You're dead to me, Young. You're dead to me.
We're supposed to get consecutive the same numbers, right? Whatever number you got, you keep getting.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I can hope with each installment. I live in hope.
He's gonna screw up the order. Send you like mine.
Yeah, exactly. If he does, you're never getting it back.
You can always white it out. Take a 3 off or something. I don't know.
That's
So
a brilliant idea. I actually have number 1.
Deface the book. What a wonderful idea.
Nobody will.
So Matt, you probably got the email from Centipede Press this morning.
Yes.
So in there's a request. He shipped the wrong number book to the wrong person.
Well, that's happened to me several times.
Yeah.
From PS Publishing.
Yeah.
I'm collecting the Blackwing series, and I have number 4. And sometimes they send me the wrong book. And that's a goat rope. But I actually was going to go check my copy and see if I don't really care what number I have in the Masters of the Weird Tale series. I've never been that assiduous. But I'll go check and see if he sent me the wrong book.
I'll look that word up later.
I think it's number 4 of Black Wings that I've got.
Book. It's a thing with paper or cardboard covers and has pages in it, and you read it. Book.
Better pray I don't look that up.
You know, there's an old Polish dictionary from a few centuries ago where the definition for a horse is everyone knows what a horse is.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. I've been doing a lot of singing in this episode. I don't know why.
I noticed.
Yeah, there's a horse theme with the horse captain too.
Right, Rick.
Just all about horses today. Mary Lou.
Well, which part is Mike? Oh, hey Rick, what's up?
I once got a wrong copy of a Big Finish Dark Shadows audio drama.
Oh, really?
Gosh,
I didn't want to worry about writing it, so I just bought the digital version.
Was it a Stephen Mark Graney?
No, it was
That would have been the wrong one.
It was one of the Cassandra Collins Tony Peterson team-ups. Cassandra is an alias for Angelique.
Well, getting back to our own Bridget Brenmark, I love the logo that you created. Yes, you. I love the logo that you created for the Weird Library. Listen in the
Thank
dark.
you.
And Bridget is also working with me for, we're gonna do some fun merch. I'm expanding the store. I mean, we've got several things up here. This actually was drawn. I'm holding up a coffee cup for those who are just listening, and this was done by Trevor Henderson for me. So, which, thank you, Trevor. That's available. You can get it on a t-shirt, coffee cup, whatever. And we're gonna have some more things in there. One of the first things we're gonna do is, and I don't know what the percentage will be, but at least half of the proceeds will go to Cat Pulver. We're gonna do a t-shirt, or you could do a sweatshirt, whatever, that says Joe Pulver forever with Joe's face on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It-
So
Are we supposed to have one that has John Langan saying something to me?
Bridget and I discussed that, and I think we both decided that no
should
one
go.
was going to buy a t-shirt that says Pete Rollick, shut your whore mouth.
I know
I would buy that T-shirt.
Mike,
I know at least 3 ex-wives that would buy that.
Okay, you know,
Yeah.
don't talk to me. Talk to, well, actually, our own talented Mike DeBronzo did that. Did you like what DeBronzo came up with? Did it make your day?
It made my wife's day.
I'll bet.
I'm sure there are some people that I work with that would make it their day.
Well, for
But
those who
it's-
don't know what we're talking about, about a year ago, Langan was on here and Pete was saying something, and Langan just yelled, "Shut your whore mouth!" We're all like,
Oh, I know what we were talking about.
"Were we
What was it?
We were talking about Lake Mungo.
Ah, that's what it was.
Are you for or against?
I think it's a good movie.
Shut your whore mouth! I don't want to hear it,
I think it suffers from some serious problems.
and I don't
But-
even want to hear what Matthew thinks of it again.
That the serious
He
or
said it-
or it's
He
not
said it with
good
such
for you?
gravitas.
Look, you
It's more
can,
of a
you can. Wait, was Langan for or against? Is he on my side or yours?
He's on your side.
Oh, good. I knew
Yeah.
I liked him.
Let's go with
He
the
said
let's
it's-
So
go with
is-
let's go with the adjective scrofulous. That'll work.
Okay,
Matt
that'll
dropping
work.
the big words today.
better
That,
pray I
that'll
don't look that
that'll
one up
describe the
either.
movie.
You better pray I don't look that up. So, but you know, Langan,
Dr. Matt's on the show.
that's right. And hey, Paul Tremblay and Nadia Bolkin and I did a Patreon podcast about it
Oh,
a while back,
very nice.
if you missed that. So
no one was told to shut their mouth.
no, no one, that did not come up at all. So anyway, I really appreciate it, Bridget. We're working on ways to bring in more money to the Lovecraft easing so that we can all always continue to do this. This is my only job, you know, besides being a husband and a father. And I love it. So I want to do it for a long time with you guys. I love you guys. So
You too.
I know. Hey, you know,
Really awkward when there are unrequited feelings. Gosh.
I know. There's an I love you hanging out there, and it's just out there, and it's not getting returned. I saw someone posted on, who was it? I think his name is Billy Martin, posted on Facebook the other day.
Really? Billy Martin.
I don't know.
PZ Bright, formerly Property Z Bright.
Poppy Z. Bright. Yeah.
I don't know.
Here I thought he was a manager for the Yankees or something.
I don't know who it is, but here's what he wrote on Facebook. He wrote, a chronically depressed person. I mean, a lot of us have dealt with depression. A lot of the listeners have dealt with it. You know, So I want to read this. A chronically depressed person on Reddit offers the following advice for fighting it. Quote, find small things that bring you joy. When you feel the desire to know more about something, anything, grasp hold of that interest and follow it like a beacon. Pursue that little piece of color in the world until you can't get any more joy from it. Then find something else. Dangle interests in front of your brain as though you were trying to distract an upset child, end quote. He continues saying, I've been doing this for most of my life. Since reading Do McKee, I think of it as hedges against the night. I did love that phrase in Do McKee, where his doctor tells him he needs to build hedges against the night. Even when everything else sucks, that one tiny thing is still there shining. I guess this is why I tend to get obsessive with my interests. They aren't just amusements, they are salvations. I really liked it and I wanted to read it to the audience. So check out the TeePublic store. We do have several things on there now, and more will be coming in the future, starting with the Joe Pulver t-shirt. And I hope to have the first episode of the Weird Library out within the next week to 10 days. So, all right, guys, anything else? Next
Oh,
week,
See Godzilla.
I'll go see Godzilla
go
on
see
Monday.
Godzilla. Yeah.
Thanks for hollering at me about it. I can always talk Godzilla
Yeah.
and other things.
I'm glad Mike said something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, next week is Ellen Datlow talking about the Christmas horror, the Christmas and Other Horrors anthology. And we will see you then. Thanks, everybody.